Wakeboarders fly high on the Maumee. A tennis player and her family grow up right before our eyes on BCSN, and a new rivalry is born in football. My name is Kate Longenecker, and a new episode of The Light Side starts right now. The third annual Lally's Board Bash took place on the Maumee River with over 1,000 spectators looking on as beginners to advanced wakeboarders displayed their talents in the water. Professional Adam Winsink has become a familiar face in the wakeboarding community, and a lot of it has to do with him growing up with the sport.
Okay, so I got into wakeboarding out here on the muddy Maumee River in Grand Rapids, Ohio. My dad was a barefooter, the first one out here on the river to do it, and my mom started trick skiing back when I was younger. So I started water skiing at a really young age, and wakeboarding started to evolve in the mid-90s, and my brother Luke, who's 6 years older than me, got into it and just took off with it. The first guy out here to do flips, and of course me being 6 years younger, that's all I wanted to do was what he was doing. So I got into to wakeboarding then, and never really looked back. It's as soon as I started going big and being able to go do big airs and go wake to wake and start doing flips and stuff like that, I never really wanted to go back to just standing on the water with water skis. So that's how it all began.
Sean Murray, another professional wakeboarder, had a similar story for how he got started.
I grew up in Southern California water skiing. I was about 8 years old, and then surfing came around. That's the kind of the grandfather to wakeboarding. Most people don't even know what that is. And I really got into it about 15 years old, became a profession when I was 19.
Some advanced wakeboarders from all over the region were involved in the Outlaw Division competition, but the weekend wasn't just about the veterans.
Tonight we have a rail jam kicking off the event at 5:30, and it involves, it's kind of like skateboarders or snowboarders where you'll see them in a park atmosphere and they jump up and grind the rail. We have the same thing with wakeboarding, but it floats on the water. So we'll jump up onto this apparatus and do all the tricks and stuff like you'd see a snowboarder do. And that kicks off the event tonight at 5:30. Tomorrow morning we kick off the event with the beginner division. So we're all about growing the sport from the bottom up, and the beginners will be out there, waving at mom and dad, touching the water, scratching their back, whatever it is to gain some points out there and just get them used to the contest atmosphere. And we'll finish off the day tomorrow with the Outlaw Division. At 1 o'clock is semifinals, and then at the end of the day, about 4:30, we'll be doing the finals for the Outlaws, which are the big guns. They'll be bringing a lot of the stuff that we do in the pro division.
Both Adam and Sean were out teaching beginner, intermediate, and advanced classes throughout the weekend.
Well, the thing about wakeboarding is it's not about strength. It's really all about technique. And some of the things that I'm going to go over with you today are just very basic, fundamental things. We'll pick what foot forward we think you're going to be most comfortable with. And then I'm just going to go through some positioning stuff. Intermediate's going to now start bringing in some wake-to-wake jumps, and when you see me and Eric do our double set here in a little bit, you'll see what I mean, where you jump from one wake and land on the other, almost like a tabletop on a dirt bike or something like that. The intermediate guys start to get into that, and so I would work on with them popping correctly, standing correctly as they go up the wake, things like that. The advanced guys, it's where they start introducing inverts and spins. So they'll be going wake to wake like the intermediate guys, but while they're up in the air in between the wakes, they're going to be going upside down or spinning and passing the handle.
As an advanced wakeboarder himself, I asked Adam what his favorite moment has been during his career.
I would say that it's mostly the moments when I have the right crew, and by the right crew it means my crew that I would call up and just wakeboard here on the Maumee River in an evening on a weekday, just out here having fun. I've been able to go to Australia and do all these other things, which is great and all, but I think my favorite moments happen right here on this stretch of water.
Coming up later in the show, I'm going to take you back to the Maumee River where Adam taught me some basic tips about wakeboarding. But coming up next, the Ohio-Michigan rivalry started early this year. Stay tuned.
BCSN is going from your home to your home screen. Now take your favorite live local sports with you wherever you go with the Watch BCSN app. Just download the app, and in moments you'll be streaming the BCSN networks live directly to your smartphone or tablet. Watch BCSN is available for both iOS and Android devices and is free for all Buckeye cable system subscribers.
Welcome back to the light side. Now, earlier in the show, I had mentioned 3 girls in the area that have grown up on BCSN. Greg Franke has more from the Perrysburg Tennis Center.
In the summer of 2010, a recent graduate of the 7th grade named Kennedy Schaefer defeated a strong collection of opponents, including some college players, to win the title on BCSN. Then as a freshman at St. Ursula, she went on to finish 3rd in the state. And after 3 years of play at prestigious tennis academies, she's now committed to the University of Georgia, which for much of last year was a top-ranked team in the nation. Recently, at the junior qualifier tournament in Perrysburg, we caught up with Kennedy and her entire family of outstanding athletes for a little catch-up session. After showing Northwest Ohio what unusual talent she possessed in that first tournament, Kennedy went on to play a year at St. Ursula, where she finished 3rd in the state as a freshman. At that point, knowing she needed more consistently strong competition to continue progressing, she made the decision to leave her home and family to pursue her dream of high-level tennis at 2 prestigious academies. She said, though the decision to leave St. Ursula was a difficult one, she believes the move was a good one for her tennis career.
When I went to St. Ursula, I developed a lot of really good friends, and it wasn't something I was completely used to because halfway through my 7th grade year and all my 8th grade year, I did online school. I was homeschooled. So when I went there, it was like making a second family. I developed a lot of friendships that I miss greatly, and I miss being around these people, but I still try to stay in contact with them. So it was a tough decision to leave, but I don't regret it because coming from leaving, I've had a lot of success, and it's really made me realize what I want to do, and it's helped me get to where I am now.
Now those efforts have paid off, as with still a year remaining in high school, Kennedy is already signed to play collegiate tennis at Georgia, which for much of last year was the top collegiate women's tennis squad in the nation. She says she's excited about testing her skills with and against really elite-level competition.
I believe in going to a place where you have to challenge yourself to play. That's the only way you're going to get better, and you shouldn't just walk in and have a spot. I feel like if you really truly earn it and you beat out everyone and prove that that's where you belong, then that's the best way to go about it.
Kennedy has certainly grown up a lot since that debut appearance on BCSN, with expanding interests that she said could one day include attending law school. Nonetheless, she says she remains highly focused on pursuing her tennis goals.
I'd like to think so. You know, it gets a little harder as you get older because then you try to have a life on occasion. You try to balance your school, your friends, your sport, but it's just all a matter of what you want, and I feel like at college is what I really want. I want to play top in my lineup. I want to win an NCAA titles both for my team and for myself, and you know, if it comes to the point where I have a shot after that, then I'm definitely going to go for it. But I just know that I want to get better, and college is what's motivating me right now. Like, I want to be better for my school. I want to be good enough to play in the lineup. I want to be good enough to make a difference. And going into a team that's so stacked, it just makes you want to work that much harder so you know that you belong there and you deserve to be there.
Although one would think that it would be easy to be overshadowed by such an athletically accomplished younger sister, Kennedy's elder sibling Sydney has been quite successful in establishing her own legacy, both here at home, where she starred for the Central Catholic basketball team, and even ending her career as the MVP of the BCSN Senior All-Star Game, and now as one of the top performers at Alderson Broaddus College in West Virginia. Sydney says even though she felt she was well prepared for the jump to college ball, it certainly has been a challenge both on and off the court.
I'm majoring in biology as well with a minor in chemistry, so that's a struggle too. Just going back and forth between the sport and school, and you know, having time to just sit down and relax is not really there. So, but it's good. It's good to keep busy, and once you get a routine, it's like a habit. It's great.
On what seems a humorous note, at least now looking back on it, Sydney says though she's had a lot of great experiences in college, there was one particular night that stands out as perhaps the worst in her athletic career. Ironically, it stems from the fact that her family has always been very close, and her father was about to see her play in college for the very first time. However, also for the very first time in her entire career, she brought the wrong uniform.
I knew that my parents were coming to watch me play for the first time, so I was really excited, especially you know, my dad being really pushing me and being one of my biggest supporters. I really wanted him to see this game. So going out there, I was warming up in my outfit that I put together, and I ended up not playing at all.
So you couldn't like get someone to like trade the uniform with you or something and wear a different number? Or?
There was a couple of people. We take only a certain amount of people per game, and there was a couple that I could have asked, but I was not going to ask somebody to give me their jersey when this was my fault, and I brought this upon myself. So I was hopeful that he was just going to put me in, but when they came in, I just teared up and I lost it. Especially when I saw my dad, because I didn't know he was coming. I didn't think he was going to because of work. So when he walked in, I was really upset. I was kind of a mess on the bench, but I was still there for my team, and we ended up losing that game. So it was a sad day, but it was nice to have them there afterwards to comfort me. And now it's just a funny story.
Well, yeah, now we're laughing about
now
it.
It's okay.
But there was actually a happy ending to this sad story. At a future game, her father, Doug, was actually able to see her play. But the fact that it was so traumatic for Sydney shows how much her parents' presence meant to her. And her mother, Lori, says that closeness was knitted over years of transporting multiple kids playing multiple sports to multiple venues.
And there's a million times that I had to listen to Kennedy comes first. You go to everything with Kennedy because she requires me driving and out of town more in the beginning years, so I had to travel with her out of town, where Sydney played basketball locally and Chloe was pretty local, but a lot of times I have to rely on Chloe's friends to parents to take her for me and then try and catch up. Or it was difficult, but it was fun.
But now that Kennedy and Sydney have moved on, the days of traveling to youth sporting events are not yet over for Lori and Doug Schaefer, as their youngest daughter, Chloe, who is an incoming fourth grader, was a very interested onlooker at Kennedy's tournament victory 4 years ago, has now become an outstanding athlete in her own right, and yet a third sport, soccer, as well as basketball. Chloe, whose soccer team recently qualified for the semifinals of the State Cup, said that when she first started playing soccer, she had to play with the boys, who didn't take her that seriously until they saw how she could play.
They just kind of took it as a joke until they actually saw like how I played, and then they started like stepping it up.
One of the interesting things about the Schaefer girls is that they all ended up excelling at different sports. In a group session, they reminisced about how Kennedy ended up in tennis, Sydney in basketball, and Chloe in soccer.
That was just the one thing I was just really passionate about. The one thing that when I woke up in the morning, I just wanted to be better at.
So when you started playing tennis when you were younger, did you hit the ball with her a little bit?
No, Kennedy was too good for me.
No, we hit sometimes.
Hey, it would have been a great teacher,
Her
right?
attention span was like this, though, so we couldn't do that.
So what do you like about soccer?
I just like that you can have other players to rely on, and so that you're not the only one that's like playing the game. You can have other people to help you if you need help.
In the end, aside from their natural abilities, it seemed to boil down to Kennedy relishing the pressure of being on her own in tennis, and the others preferring the camaraderie of team sports. Ironically, Chloe Schaefer was just finishing third grade back in that summer of 2010 and is now the same age as Kennedy was when she was winning that first Toledo tennis tournament title on BCSN. Oh, how time does pass on. And it appears likely that in the future the name Kennedy Schaefer will become more prominent even on a much wider stage. And Sydney Schaefer will continue to be a major contributor to Alderson Broaddus basketball, and Chloe's years in the spotlight are just beginning.
Ohio State and Michigan has become one of the biggest rivalries in all of sports. And you see it everywhere around here, people wearing the Ohio State and Michigan colors, even in the off-season. And from that rivalry stems a new one, the Border Classic that pins the best of Michigan against the best of Ohio at Donnell Stadium in Findlay. As tensions rose before the inaugural game, Team Ohio's head coach Mike Fell talked about putting players together from rival teams and why the All-Stars were motivated to leave it all on the field.
Oh, you know, you grow up that way. When you're in Ohio, you grow up and you hear about the team up north. And so it's easy to have a pep talk today. There isn't going to need to be a pep talk because they're ready to play, and they want to beat Michigan because it's bragging rights for the whole state.
Michigan head coach Mike Sadepski said the players were getting pumped up for practice throughout the week.
They like to compete, so the practices have been very competitive. These kind of kids, like right here, they want to win, so they were willing to make sacrifices. When we had 3 meetings during the winter, one in the winter, one more in the spring, one in between. Right there, we got together, got the kids together, and practiced. And that's asking a lot of a kid coming from Traverse City, Grand Rapids, from all around the state to centrally locate 3 times.
Several Division I recruits were out on the field, and many knew each other as teammates or someone they competed against in the fall. But one relationship stood out between 2 future Ohio State players. For Marshawn Lattimore and Eric Smith, playing on the same team is something they've done since the age of 13. And when it came time to decide where to play at the next level, after finishing up at Cleveland Glenville, it wasn't much of a decision. They were going to continue both of their careers donning the scarlet and gray.
It was always a dream, really, just to play football on the next level with each other. And guys like Worley, Cordell Jones, Bogart, people from Glenville that's still at Ohio State. So just, continuing that, it's just a good feeling, especially with Marshawn. So,
we've been real close friends for some years now. So, we just wanted to end up at the same school together and play together and keep it going.
What's more interesting than the friendship is the fact that Cleveland Glenville has produced high-caliber players for years. And in the last 17 years, 19 of those players have chosen OSU. These elite athletes stem from the staff, setting them up for success.
The dream that I said before, like you grow up in Cleveland, and Ohio State and Glenville is really the main attraction. And with that in your mind, you just work, and you really, it's work. You fall from Glenville Titans as a mini league football team, then it's Glenville Tar Players, then it's Ohio State. So it's kind of tradition, really.
Coaches and Coach Ginn, he a real nice guy, and he just develop players and get them ready for life, and that's really it. Just coaches, they're great.
The coaching has paid off for the Pals, and ironically, the 2 could be competing for the same position at OSU. Lattimore poised to play either cornerback or wideout, while Smith is listed as a defensive back. The next day after the Classic, they were both on the bus down to Columbus, getting ready for the fall season.
I'm pretty sure they're going to be intense, so I had to be ready. But I report down tomorrow, actually, 8 in the morning. So I had to be ready, right out of the game, shoot back up to Cleveland, pack all my things. So I'm going to be ready, though.
Now back to the game. In front of a stadium full of fans, Team Michigan showed that practice paid off, winning rather convincingly 27-14. For its first year, the Border Classic was a success for the fans and the players who got to participate. But as for whether it becomes a tradition, only time will tell.
I think it will. I think there's been a rivalry for a long, long time between the 2 states. Going back when this country was formed, all the way through the Bo and the Woody situation, and even now maybe with Michigan and Michigan State, the way that game is going.
Coming up next, I got a lesson in wakeboarding from one of the best in the sport, but spoiler alert, it did not go well. Stay tuned to see all the hits and misses.
BCSN is going from your home to your home screen. Now take your favorite live local sports with you wherever you go with the Watch BCSN app. Just download the app, and in moments you'll be streaming the BCSN networks live directly to your smartphone or tablet. Watch BCSN is available for both iOS and Android devices and is free for all Buckeye cable system subscribers.
Earlier in the show, I took you down to Napoleon to the Lally's Board Bash, which featured wakeboarders from all over the region showcasing their talents. And of course, I wanted to learn those tricks naturally, so I asked Adam Winsick, the professional wakeboarder, to show me some basic skills.
All right, Kate, so we're going to have you, once you get into the bindings, we're going to have you slide off the platform. The board is going to float very high, so just relax. So your head and the board are going to be up at the water line. Just lay on your back and relax. What you're going to do is the boat's going to come around you. You're going to grab the rope and let it slide through your fingers until you get to the handle. When you get to the handle, we're going to go, say the boat's going straight in front of me. You're going to take the handle with two hands and make sure that this part of the rope is right between your feet, on top of the board, okay? And when the boat goes to tighten up, the rope goes to tighten up, you want to bring your knees up here like this, like up into your chest, and set your elbows right on top of them, okay? And keep in a ball like that. When the boat goes to pull you, what we're going to do, we're going to try your right foot forward first because that's your dominant foot. You're going to literally just like you're getting out of a chair. So think of it that way. All you're going to do is get your chest over your knees and like you're getting out of a chair. And as you stand up, as the water gets harder under your feet, you're going to stick the handle in front of your right hip because you want the rope to be parallel or in line with your board. And the boat's going to be going that way. The stance, once you're up out of the water, arms straight and your chest back in line with your butt. So you don't want this. You don't want this. If you get squirrely, just bend your knees more, but you want to be your chest back over top of the board, arms straight, head up, and just look at us.
After getting into the bindings and finding my way into the water, the boat slowly pulled away as Adam gave me some direction.
Here we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Kate. Leave your arms out, let the boat pull you up on top of the water. No, you're just not coming up over your knees enough. So don't pull your arms in like this. Leave your arms out over your knees and let the boat pull you right up out of that chair. Okay? You got it. Yeah! There it was.
Although the lessons were painful, I still had a lot of fun being in the water and getting a chance to get up on the board. Even though I didn't have as much success as I had hoped, I loved the atmosphere and the fact that the people on the boat were cheering me on, and it became obvious to me why this sport is becoming so popular.
The wakeboarding community it's a smaller sport. It's growing very rapidly, especially with the introduction of cable parks and everything like that, where you don't need a boat. But it's a smaller community of people, and it's all about families and all about just the evolution and growing the sport and getting it out to the public. And what I like about it is whether you're a beginner or the best wakeboarder in the world, you can walk right up to the best wakeboarder in the world and they're going to treat you like, your best friends and just the whole atmosphere. There's no better feeling than being on the boat, 90-degree weather, with all your closest friends out there throwing down behind the boat and everybody cheering for you. And until, you know, once you experience that, you're addicted for life.
One of Adam's best friends is Eric Blazeman, who said that he's addicted for other reasons.
Adrenaline junkie. So anything that I can go high in the air and flip and basically scare myself is fun.
Why do you think it's gained so much in popularity since you've been doing it for 14 years?
Because everybody can do it, as long as you're willing to put forth the effort, then you can do whatever you want, especially with the cable parks that keep popping up. Anybody can do it now.
For Sean, Eric, and Adam, wakeboarding has become a way of life. For them, they're trying to expand the sport and get people more involved, even if they never set foot in the water.
I think, you know, just the atmosphere that we've tried to create for the board bash is very much not this intense, you know, competition atmosphere. It's a festival. Bring your friends. If you don't know anything about wakeboarding, it's still a good time. But if you do, it's all about the families, getting the kids out there, getting them fired up. But we do it in a professional level to the point where it's just as good as any pro event out there, and people just eat it up.
Well, that'll do it for this week's Lightside from the Maumee River. My name is Kate Longenecker, and as always, if you have any ideas, feel free to email me at thelightside@bcsn.tv, and I will try my best to get them on air. Have a wonderful night.